2026 and newer Jeep Wranglers and Gladiators come factory with quick release door hinges. Today on Dirt Road CRED, we're going to show you how to add a set of quick release door hinges on any previous model Jeep Wrangler JL or Jeep Gladiator JT and take you step by step through the entire process. So after 17 weeks, they're finally here. The Mopar quick release door hinges. These are factory off of a 2026. And while we had to wait quite a bit for these to come in, we have all 4 of them. And we're going to show you how to install them onto our 2025 Juice Gladiator Hemi Swap. Now what's neat about these is we've got all 4, 2 for the front and 2 for the rear. There's a couple quirks that we're going to go over as we've seen these come in. But if you do order them, pause the screen right now. We'll show you the part numbers that we ordered for a 4-door, and you can pick them up for your Wrangler or Gladiator. I wouldn't be too nervous though, because I don't think this is going to be too difficult of an install. Now before you start this installation, it's always good to have a well-stocked toolkit. Now you can either have a giant toolbox in your shop, or you could probably do this on the road if you pick up one of these Jeep Performance Parts toolkits. Now we've got the one that we have available on our website laying down below here. This thing we've had in the back of the 2-door since we got that. It's been used, abused, and beat to snot, and we always keep it there because it's got a ton of tools that are specific for the Jeep. You've got a socket rail set, you've got box wrenches, you've got larger lugs in there, you've got all sorts of smaller tools, Torx bits, everything that you might need, or at least a good bit to get yourself out of a bind while you're on the trail or on the highway. And we want to start off with this Jeep toolkit. It's available on our site, and you can pick up something like this to just get your tool collection started in the back of your Jeep and keep adding to it in the future. So we've got the driver's side door open, and we're going to show you how to actually start removing this door. This would be the old way, or the way that you're used to. You're going to start with a T40 Torx bit, which is included in your Jeep toolkit. However, we put it on impact here just to make things a little bit quicker, and that would be the normal process and what you're used to. After we finish this installation today, you're simply going to pull one quick release pin, and you will not need to use any tools to pull this off. So the first step is to go in here and remove the factory harness. So you're just going to basically push this tab up and then pull this white section up top. That's going to disconnect the actual electrical connection to your door. There's going to be a check strap right here that you're going to want to pull off. And then typically what I do when I remove my doors is I just use the netting, so that way that tucks in nicely. The next step is what you're typically used to doing if you've removed your doors, and that's to pull the T40 off from the original bracket. Once you pull that bolt out, make sure to keep this, as you are going to be reusing it in the new quick release brackets. But at this point, we can now get our door to open up completely. Now what's neat about today's installation is you don't actually have to pull your door off. We can simply do it like so, and we're going to show you a couple of the screws and bolts you have to remove to pop this panel off and ultimately get this off, Ryan. So we're going to remove the 2 10mm bolts off here, and then this should just push right in, and we'll be able to install our new one. So there are going to be 5 Torx screws to actually pull off this door panel. There's 2 right here, 1 here, 1 here, and then the one you can't see is actually behind this plastic piece. I like to use a little pick and come in from the top. That's all it takes. See the little notch out right there? If you can get your pick into there, get some pressure behind it, and just pull it out. Start with a T30 Torx bit. In our case, we're going to use a 1/4 inch ratchet. We're going to remove this screw up top here. Make sure obviously to keep all of your nuts, bolts, and screws to the side, as we will be reinstalling all of them when we put the door panel back in. While you've got the T30 out, these are the exact same size, so remove 2 more bolts down below. A little change of socket here. We're now going to go to a T20 Torx bit to remove the last 2 screws down below. And these are actually self-threading screws versus the bolts we just removed. So the goal now is to separate the door panel from the actual door structure. All around the border of this panel, there are studs that go into corresponding locations inside of the door card. You're going to go around the edge and pull lightly, and you'll feel a pop. Now once you pop them all off, this actual top portion here sinks down in. So you pop that up, and there are some other bits that are attached to these pieces, including a harness, as well as some other latches that do your door. I don't think we're gonna have to remove those because we literally just need access to down here. So we're gonna go right at the bottom here, maybe at the side, wherever we can get under. Here we go. Nice even amounts of force. Don't just rip on one section. You want to kind of spread your hands out a little bit and give it a tug. You don't want to break the plastic. So here we go. I think we got one more over here. All right, now we should be pretty free around the edges, and this is where we push it straight up vertically. Now our door panel is free. So obviously a little bit more involved. We do have to pull the inner door structure off. We're going to remove both of these locking mechanisms here. The white one's at the bottom. This one is up top here. Grab a little needle nose, and you can pop this white section towards there. Pull this up and pop the barrel out. The last thing to do is to pull this electrical harness off. And now your door card can be removed and set aside safely. Now we're going to remove the 10mm bolts that surround this inner door card here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now that those are removed, we do have a couple of these push pins, but these should be able to stay on. I kind of want to see what this looks like. I haven't gone this far into a door in quite a bit, so we want to be able to pop this off and be able to get access to pull this hinge through this way. We're going to pull the door check strap hold right here, so that way we can get some of the wiring out of the way. We do have some Christmas trees here to pop out of the door. 1, 2, so that can be loose. And this is actually preventing us from popping this out, so I want to see if we can just pop some of these Christmas trees out here. 1, 2. So the whole reason we do these installation videos is so that you guys don't have to struggle. We ended up actually putting the glass back up by just plugging this plug in, making sure all our hands are clear. And we couldn't get the bottom of this inner door structure to pull out enough with the glass being in the downward position. Now that it's all the way up, the mechanism went up with it, and we can pull this enough here to actually get access behind there. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the two 10mm nuts that are holding the original door check on. I will have enough room to pull that out, put the new one in, and put the same nuts on. So let's get this off, and then hopefully it goes all well, because it's been going pretty smooth. We're only at it about 20 minutes. It's a little bit more involved than we remember, but quite honestly, it's not too terrible at this point. So actually, when you look at this structure here, it is the exact same as what we are going to be replacing it with. The biggest difference is the availability to pull this pin out. So when you actually flip this up, you can pull this door pin out and leave this structure on. Now, in a typical configuration, you have to remove that bolt every single time to pull this off, but this is essentially going to go in the same location. And what we also found that is interesting is this says FL, which means front left. If you're in a United States vehicle, you are left-hand drive. So the left is going to be, of course, on the left side of the vehicle where you drive. FL, and this arrow needs to point forward when you mount this. But what I found ironic is if you flip it over, this says front R. So I think that this could be interchanged over on that side. However, all of them do have different part numbers. So a bit interesting there, but when you're looking at this, make sure that you eye them up and make sure that they're correct, because this one says front left. We have one that says RL, which means rear left, so that'll go on the rear door. Remove both of the 10mm nuts on here, which are surprisingly tight for what they are. And then you see it's already trying to leave. The reason we had to pop this panel off is so that we can get our hands in. Pop that through. So now we're going to install this through the door. There we go. We can grab this side. And then while still holding it, make sure you just put both 10s on there. That way it doesn't fall back through. And then we can get these snugged up. So now what we got to do is install all of our 8 border bolts around the inner door structure here, reattach some of the push pins as well as that check strap on the side here. And I would say, guys, if you're intimidated by this, we're quite literally only about 20 minutes in, and that is with us learning some tips and tricks about where the window needs to be in order to pull this out. But I would say if you are intimidated by it a little bit, go to your local Mopar shop, go to your Jeep dealership and get this done, or find a buddy that can wrench a little bit and take it into their shop. So the last step here, guys, is we're actually going to leave the quick release pin in here. And we're going to take our OEM bolt that we pulled off earlier, And we're gonna tighten this up. And now that that's back on, all you'd have to do to get this door removed is remove the harness. The door check strap we've already got pulled off, and then watch this. Flip that upwards. I've found that you have to shake the door a little bit. Pull that pin. And now with those pins pulled, you can simply remove your door. So now you're basically gonna line this hole with these two right here. Grab the included pin. And I've found after kind of working on some of the 26s a little bit more, you have to wobble the door. And these do take sometimes quite a bit of effort to drop down in. But you need to make sure they're all the way down too. Because if not, this will not push onto the latch properly. All right, guys, on today's viewer rig of the video, we wanted to mention that we typically put these viewer rig videos into our installation, our fun, longer content, but on news content, we might not put them on there. Now, today's viewer rig is really cool. This is Barry's 2020 Jeep Gladiator Overland that he has themed out as a Golden Eagle theme. Now, this is a red Gladiator with a tan painted hardtop on this thing, a lot of gold accents on the wheels, and then even a deep kind of satin brown that you would have found on the original Golden Eagles. Now, what I found really cool about this is on the Jeep, he actually put the hood graphic as well as the side graphic that says Golden Eagle. It's really cool to see this Jeep built up this way, and if you guys enjoyed the viewer rig section of this video, be sure to submit your rig to rigs@dirtroadcredmedia.com. Thank you, Barry, for submitting yours. All right, guys, well, we just wrapped up this project. We only showed you how to do it on the front door. If you do have a four-door Wrangler or Gladiator, the process is pretty much the same on the other doors. It's removing the door card and the door panel, and then kind of some of that inside structure. I would say this is more of a weekend project. Set yourself aside about 2 or 3 hours, as well as a few weeks to actually get the pieces in. From what I recall, when we ordered those, it was about $140 for all 4 pieces, and then a couple hours of labor, and you can get this done. This is probably going to be best for someone that is pulling their doors off all the time and does not have any tools with them. I think a little bit of an opinion on this, Ryan. It's fun to kind of be back in the shop and doing some install videos. That's, I would say, the first thing. If you guys enjoyed this style of content, installation, step-by-step, what size Torx bits, what size bolts, that's kind of something we could get back into. It does take quite a bit of time to film and do this style of content. But our opinion on these quick releases, I think you would agree with me, is the same as mine. If you don't carry tools with, maybe this is going to be a little bit quicker, but you might have saw in that last clip, I actually had to tap the pin down to drop in. I normally use a T40 Torx bit on my Milwaukee Impact and just zip them all off and then just zip them back in while I don't have doors on. And if you have a 26, it's a great feature to already have, but would it be worth it? I feel like personally it's not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, we could show the install video. You guys might think, look, this is the best thing ever. I hate using the T40 Torx bit. I can't stand doing that. This is for you. But I personally think it's quick enough just to zip them off with an impact or even a quick ratchet and go around to each corner. And then a second thing you guys should really know is if you have Mopar tube doors, and Ryan, maybe some other brands of tube doors as well too, the rear, I found an issue with that rear kind of quick release section, would not let me close the rear tube door on the 26 Gladiator. So maybe there's some more adjustment in the hinge, but for right away, the Mopar rear tube doors would not fit with that quick release door latch. So a little bit of an interesting tidbit for you guys to know there as well. And some stuff that I would say is something for you to know before picking these up. And also, is it worth the wait too? Like, we waited, it had to be 3 months, 4 months for those. We just kind of ordered them and forgot about it. And then they finally showed up here. Maybe it's quicker now, but I knew those were produced way back in August of 25. And it took us 3 or 4 months to get them. So I don't know. Overall opinions on it, they are cool. I just think for our purposes, we typically use just some quick tools, and we always have tools in the back of our Jeep, and that makes it just as easy. So, but at the end of the day, Dirt Road Cred is a growing company. We're excited for it and wanted to thank each and every one of you that stayed this long in the video. And if you've been subscribed, if not, if it's your first time, thank you guys for stopping by. Until next time, though, Ryan's behind the camera. I'm here talking to you, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.